Good evening all, and welcome to another edition of the On The Mark program for today, Wednesday the 27th day of March 2024. Where has March gone? March has marched along very swiftly in this 2024. But anyway, yes, we are down to the final Wednesday of March, and it's the year 2024. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are in tune to the Eastern Caribbean Powerhouse. And of course, I believe by now you realize that the regular host, the Honorable Mark Brantley, is not here tonight. He is a little bit under the weather, and so I am here. So you will have me to contend with tonight, and I have a guest with me as well. So I'm happy I'm not here by myself, but it's indeed a pleasure to welcome you once again to On The Mark, the most widely listened to talk show in St. Kitts, Nevis, and across the region. Of course, we're here every night from 8 until 10, and then there's a rebroadcast on a Thursday from 1 until 3. And so let me take this opportunity once again to welcome all of you who are in tune to the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse Vaughan Radio, 860 on your AM dial and www.vaughanradio.com, and those of you joining us via Facebook Live. It's always a pleasure to have you logged on and in tune. So good evening to all of you in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, in the region, in the diaspora, wherever you are. We are delighted once again to have you as part of this 2-hour commercial-free talk show On The Mark. And we have a lot of grounds to cover tonight, so let me get right into the action. And of course, as I said, I have a guest with me, and that guest have a lot of grounds to cover as well. And so let me get cracking. And of course, I want to start, of course, we normally start at the top of the show by extending some birthday greetings, and I want to start in my constituency. I want to say birthday greetings to two persons in my constituency. My dear darling sister Barbara Hendrickson there at Simmons' estate. Barbara, I hope you had a wonderful day on your special day. I know you did. Based on the picture that I saw, I know you had a wonderful day, Barbara, and continue to enjoy what's left of your special day. And your twin sister, Valerie Elliott there at Meats Pasture, good night to you. Hope you had a wonderful day as well. Enjoy what's left. And to my good friend Melinda Bailey over there in Butlers, Melinda, happy birthday to you. Hope you had a wonderful day. Anyone else who's celebrating birthday? Anybody making anniversaries today? We say happy birthday to you. Happy anniversary to you, whatever the occasion. If you're celebrating today, if you celebrated earlier this week, if you're celebrating later this week, greetings to you and all the very best to you from all of us here at the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. And I want to as well use this medium to say congratulations to Dr. the Honorable Denzil L. Douglas. He's celebrating this year 35 years. You heard right. 35 years in politics, and that's no mean feat. And so Dr. the Honorable Denzil Douglas, I know you have made a great impact in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as a Prime Minister, in whatever capacity you have served as a politician. You have done a yeoman service to your country, St. Kitts and Nevis, and so we say kudos and congratulations to you. You're known very well in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the region and in the diaspora, so kudos and congratulations to you. I wish you 35 more. So whatever you're doing, you're still looking very well. You're still looking very young. And so kudos and congratulations to my colleague in the National Parliament, Dr. the Honorable Denzil Llewellyn Douglas. And of course, those of you who are not feeling so well, those of you who are under the weather, we greet you as well. Those of you who are at home, those of you who are in the hospital, those of you who are in the homes, we say good evening to you. We hope that you're going to feel much better. And of course, we greet those persons who are taking such wonderful care of you. And of course, we also at the top of the show normally send out some condolences to those who are in the bereaved column. And practically every week when we are on The Mark, we have to send condolences to persons, because persons are in the bereaved column very, very often, and of course we here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we're in Nevis in particular, we're a very small, close-knit society, and normally when we have one death, it affects a lot of persons, not only the immediate family and friends, but it affects a lot of persons. And of course all of us would know that we here on the island of Nevis, we were really rocked. We were rocked on Sunday night and Monday morning when the news spread that we had lost one of our beloved pilots, Mr. Sean Henville, who passed away suddenly, and it really, really rocked when the news spread on Sunday night and Monday morning. Persons were in disbelief, and someone who would have been looking so healthy could have just gone just like that. It shows just how fickle and fragile life is. And so Sean would have made quite a contribution to not only aviation but to the development of our beautiful island of Nevis. And we want to send out condolences to his immediate family, in particular to his wife Angela, his daughter Sienna, to his mom, Lady Sheila Daniel, to his brother Adrian Daniel, the entire family, all of his friends. And we had a lot of family and friends. And said Sean was a good gentleman who would have made a real good contribution to our development. And he was someone who I respected as well a lot, and I think he respected me too, though the respect was mutual. As I said in the house yesterday, I was called on Monday by someone who reminded me that some years ago we were on a flight coming up from Puerto Rico on Nevis Express, and the weather was terrible. Really, really, really bad. And that flight, which should have taken an hour, I think ended up taking about 2 hours. And Sean and another pilot, they were there at the helm, and trust me, they did a fantastic job. In we were persons up there, everybody was just so scared. And when we landed at the airport in Nevis, everybody breathed a sigh of relief. And I recall as well that one time I was traveling up, I think it was probably from one of the Windward Islands. I was traveling up in Liat, and Sean was one of the pilots as well. And when he realized I was on the flight, he sent one of the flight attendants to get me. Say, go and get Eric, tell him he come up here in the cockpit with us. First and only time I flew in the cockpit, and Sean gave me that opportunity, and that was an unforgettable moment for me, a memorable moment for me. And as I said, he afforded me that opportunity. I sat in the cockpit with him and the pilot, see what they were doing. He was explaining to me what they do in the cockpit and so on, and it was really a good experience. And so those are some excellent memories I have of Sean. And as I said in Parliament as well yesterday, I mean, Sean has been to numerous events that I've been the MC for, and I think practically at every event he either calls me or sends a message and says, Eric, you did a good job last night, good job, so he's always very encouraging. And I want to say thanks for all of the encouragement that he has given. And I know it's a sad loss for not only his immediate family but all of us here on the other. Very cool and calm young man. I have to say young man because he was still a young man. All right, so condolences to the family, and of course all those who are mourning. I also want to say good night and condolences to Mrs. Gwyneth Maynard and family down there in Hanley's Road. She would have lost a nephew. We call him Lansha Wendell, and so he's living overseas, but we say good night as well, Mrs. Maynard, to you and the entire family. To the family of Ruth Thompson here from Brownhill, who was a good friend of mine as well. She was laid to rest this afternoon. And to another good friend who passed away from down in Hanley's Road from the Box Hill area, Mrs. Sylvia Liebert. Always such a jolly, jovial, always smiling person, always had a good word of encouragement for me. Got along very well. And so condolences to her family, to her children, grandchildren, brothers, and the nieces and nephews, the entire family. Rest assured that God is still on the throne. So all who are mourning at this time, we say condolences to all of you, from all of us here, from On The Mark, and of course from the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Von Radio. And so now I've gotten that out of the way. As I said, we have a lot of ground to cover tonight, so let me continue. I just want to say a big thank you. I want to place on record my appreciation for the hard work, the dedicated work, the committed work of my staff at the department and the Ministry of Agriculture. Of course, we would have hosted Agri Expo. I would have been here on The Mark couple weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, promoting that event, and I think the promotion paid off. The event went very well as usual, and every year that event grows and grows tremendously, continues to get bigger and better. And it is an event of that magnitude is not easy to host, trust me. And so I say kudos to my staff at the Ministry and the Department of Agriculture for once again pulling it off, and pulling it off in a huge way. And so we want to say thanks to the entire staff. We want to say a special thanks to our patron, Valerie Ermin Hendrickson. We want to thank all of our booth operators, our government departments, our allied agencies, all institutions and organizations, individuals, farmers, vendors, all who made that Agri Expo the tremendous success that it was. We say thank you. And of course, we want to say a special thanks to our contingent that came up from Statia as usual. The head of the delegation, Mr. Van Putin, thank you very much for coming and for bringing such a large delegation up from Statia. We had a group of students and teachers from Sabre. We were so delighted. Myself and Minister Brand, we would have spoken to them. They said they are trying to introduce agriculture in the schools in Sabre. They're trying to drum up some interest, and they decided to come to Nevis to bring the students. The students can see firsthand the product of what can happen when you get involved in agriculture. And I hope that they would have left inspired to go back to Sabre and do some agriculture. Of course, we want to say a special thanks to our sponsors. We know we can't do anything without our sponsors, and so we say thanks to National Bank, our official bank for Agri Expo, to Flo, the Nevis Island Administration, to Lefco, to the Finnish Touch, to Brands Architectural Services, the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, NHLDC, to Nature's Best, East Caribbean group of companies based in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I must say here again how proud I am that we had 3 persons from St. Vincent and the Grenadines who journeyed to Nevis to be a part of Agri Expo. We continue to attract many persons, not only from St. Kitts, but from our neighboring islands and from the sub-region as well. And so we had 3 persons from ECGC, 3 lovely, beautiful young ladies who came up from ECGC, and they were part of the ECGC booth on both days. I was very fortunate to interact with them. They were very, very friendly, and they were here. They promoted ECGC, and what I really loved what they were doing as well is that they had a tasting in the booth. They had a tasting of local ham, a tasting of local chicken, and so persons who came to the booth, who visited the booth, were able to taste and sample the local chicken done at the abattoir, the local ham done at the abattoir, and they were linking the finished product with their feeds from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, from ECGC. So kudos to them. They were saying, well, listen, this tasty product that you're eating, they were fed with feed from ECGC, and I found that was very, very neat. And they also told me that they had bought some of the products to take back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So in essence, persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be able to sample products done here at our local abattoir. And that is why when we say good things are happening on the island of Nevis, no one can doubt that, because the evidence is always there. The evidence is being taken to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So kudos to the entire team at the abattoir, to the entire team at the Department of Agriculture, and thank you so much, ECGC. They have been, I think they have been with us from the start of our open day when we were at Prospect, and they have stayed with us. And I also want to stick up in and say thanks as well to the manager at the supply office, Mr. Liebert, Mr. Ricky Liebert and his team. Whenever we want anything, any sponsorship we want, we just call on Ricky, and Ricky's always there to help, always there to reach out to head office in St. Vincent, and always get results. So thanks to those folks from ACGC in St. Vincent, and thanks to Ricky and his team there at the supply office. And so all in all, the event, based on all of the excellent reviews and feedback we have been getting, it shows that we had another hugely successful event, and we say agriculture is definitely on the move and going places here on the island of Nevis. And I just wanted to highlight a few things about Culturama as well, and let me just indicate that this past week on Monday we had the launch of a new mobile app called the Nevis Culturama mobile app, and this app is designed to provide Nevisians at home and abroad, in the diaspora, wherever you are. It provides you with information about Culturama 50, and so you're asked to download the app. Wherever you go, take the app with you. Now the mobile app provides the following, and let me just outline what the mobile app provides. It provides the latest Culturama 50 news and notices. access to the Culturama 50 schedule of events, a mobile platform to listen to the latest music releases from bands, soca artists and calypsonians, details on all shows such as the junior and senior pageants, junior and senior calypso contests, panorama contests, browsing of the Culturama 50 photo galleries, viewing live stream events, watching featured videos of C50 participants, voting for your favorite pageant contestants, purchasing tickets, and yes, we're going to be selling tickets online this year, connecting with the Nevis Culturama Committee Facebook on Facebook, and listening to the Culturama Fever radio. And so I'm encouraging everybody has a fancy cell phone these days, and so I'm sure everybody will be able to download the app. Go to the Apple Store or Google Play, and you can download the app and take it wherever you go. Take Culturama 50 with you. And I also want to indicate as well that last Thursday, March the 21st, we had the senior pageant contestants and participants signing their contracts, and I can tell you there will be 6 Miss Culture Queen pageant contestants, 5 Miss Swimwear pageant contestants, and 5 Mr. Cool participants. And of course you'll be hearing much more about that in the very near future. I can also tell you that the Miss Culture winner this year, Miss Culture 2024, will receive a cash prize of $20,000 plus a scholarship to Monroe College, and the Mr. Cool and the Miss Culture Swimwear winners will each get $12,000. I can also tell you in terms of the Culturama front that this coming Sunday, March the 31st, we will be having the first in a series of what we call Panyard concerts, and it will be all happening at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, and that's happening every last Sunday of the month until Culturama. And of course it's being spearheaded by the music department at NCDF, and if it's in an effort to promote steel pan music or steel band music. Of course, we know we have come a very long way with steel band music here on the island of Nevis, and we are trying to promote it. So in terms of what's happening on Sunday, we will have the Community Development Steel Orchestra, we'll have the Uwali Rhythms, the Poinciana Rhythms, guest performers, the EBJ Harmonics from St. Kitts. There will be cultural performances and a special guest performance by Speedy. Yes, Speedy, I heard the song and the song is good. Alright, and Speedy will be backed by a steel band this coming Sunday, so you can't afford to miss it. It's going to be a different thing. It's going to be a nice relaxing afternoon. So those of you who are in St. Kitts, if you don't have anything to do Sunday afternoon, make your way over to Nevis and make your way to the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park for Panyard this Sunday and the final Sunday of every month. And of course we would have had the launch of the Go Live radio. It was launched on the 24th of February, and you can log on every Saturday night and you can hear all of the latest music from the calypsonian, the soca artists, from the bands, and everything that is being offered for Culturama 50. Very proud as well to report that work has started at the Cultural Complex and the Cultural Village. Of course, I would have indicated here on the mark on the Government at Work program that we intend to do some sprucing up work at the Cultural Complex and at the Cultural Village. And I have to say thanks to Minister Brand and the Public Works Department for their assistance so far. The work at the Cultural Complex will be spearheaded by the Public Works Department, and of course we are doing quite a bit of work at the Cultural Village as well. We have some contractors, and let me just briefly say what the work entails. At the Cultural Complex, we have removed the roof from the concession stalls, the booths, and we're doing some work on the floor as well to ensure that up there is safe, up there is rodent free, and the booth owners will be comfortable. Down in the Cultural Village, we will be extending the stage, but we will not be touching the area for the patrons. So the patrons will still have all of that area. Persons have said in the past that the performance area for the stage is small. We have decided to address that, and so we're going to remove the dress rooms at the back. Those dress rooms will now be relocated to a corner in the Cultural Complex. We will also be putting some corporate boxes, 5 corporate boxes on the containers, the concession stalls, and so we'll have 2 corporate boxes towards the side of the Cultural Complex and 3 towards the side of the ETW Park. We'll be putting in a new bathroom, and so quite a bit of work is happening. The work has started in earnest, and we're very confident. We would have met with the contractors, and we know that things will progress smoothly, and we will have everything done on time for the very big Culturama 50. Of course, the Culturama jingle, we had 10 entries. The judging is supposed to be done this week, and of course you'll be hearing who the winner is very shortly. I can tell you that registration remains open for some of the contests. We are asking you to register for the Junior Calypso, Senior Calypso, the Power and the Groovy Soca Monarch competition, the Mr. and Miss Talented Youth, the Road March, the Juve Troops, the Junior and Senior Parades, the Art and Craft and Cultural Food Fair, and street vending. Please, we're asking you, the persons who normally vend, we're asking you kindly to go to the Culturama Secretariat and register. Vending is normally done on a haphazard basis over the years. We don't want that to happen this year. We want it to be as organized as possible. We know we have a lot of trailers, a lot of bands, a lot of big vehicles passing through Charlestown. We don't want any undue incidents, and so we're asking you to kindly go. We will be working with the traffic department to ensure that we have the vending properly laid out and properly organized. So those of you who are intending to vend, we're asking you please to register at the Culturama Secretariat. And of course, we want to tell you as well that I would have mentioned a while ago that we'll be selling tickets online. Yes, we will be selling tickets online this year, because we're expecting a lot of persons from overseas, and a lot of them are already saying they want to have their tickets in hand before they come to Nevis. And so we'll be launching our online sales very shortly. And I can tell you, as I wrap up about Culturama, that the shows for Culturama this year will be streamed pay-per-view, but at a very reasonable and affordable rate. And so that is my little wrap about Culturama. There will be a lot of things happening this coming weekend, but I think I have said a mouthful, and my guest is anxious to go. My guest is very anxious to go. And if I could just say quickly as well, in terms of things that would have happened this week, we would have had a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly yesterday. We would have had the first reading of the Nevis International Banking Amendment Bill 2024. We would have also had a sitting of the National Assembly. And so myself and the other members of the National Assembly, those of us who are in both assemblies, were very busy yesterday. And so in the National Assembly front, we had the first reading of the Citizenship by Investment Unit Bill 2024, and the second reading and third reading and passage of the Medical Laboratories Bill 2024 and the Productivity Council Bill 2024. I can also tell you that this afternoon at the Malcolm Gishard Park, we had the launch of the Best Village competition, and of course that is coinciding with Culturama as well. I'm encouraging villages on Nevis to take part. In terms of upcoming events, we have the official opening of the Uwali Water Taxi facility tomorrow, something I'm very proud of. Yes, that's happening tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow, Thursday, March the 28th, at 10 o'clock. That's happening. We have an Easter Cricket Festival at the VOJN grounds organized by the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. That's taking place on Easter Sunday. We have on Easter Monday, we have a fun day at the Ramsbury Playing Field, and you're going to hear much more about that as well. On Good Friday, we have the usual SJCIC kite flying competition. We have church services. This is Easter, so I'm expecting people to go to church. I know I will be going. I know my guests will be going. I know Melissa will be going. And so we're encouraging people to Easter. It's a special religious time of the year, and we're encouraging people. Some people only go to church on Easter, so we're encouraging everybody to go to church on Easter Sunday, right? And then also this coming weekend, we have over in the New River area, we have the Jerry and Ursula Fifield Memorial Camp. It's a camp organized by the Fifield family that has been growing and growing well. I think it's a wonderful idea, bringing young people out, showing them what camp life is about. That starts tomorrow. It goes until Easter Monday. They normally have a wonderful sports on Easter Monday, so if you have time, you can head on down there on Easter Monday and enjoy the games. And then of course next week, Wednesday, is the big one, baby. The Gulf Insurance and Bonnie Inter Primary. And so we're expecting everybody. Of course, we know it's a half holiday on the island of Nevis, so you have no excuse. You have to head over to the Nevis Athletic Stadium, the Mondo track, and of course, let us all support all of the primary schools on the island of Nevis that are taking part. And so that in a nutshell is what my little soliloquy as the regular host, the Honorable Mark, would say. And so there's, as I said, there's a lot of grounds to cover. And I would allow my guest, who is absolutely no stranger to the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse microphones, who is not a stranger to On The Mark, not a stranger at all to Von Radio. And I will allow him to now introduce himself and maybe bring some opening statements.
Good evening, Deputy Premier.
Good evening.
Good evening to the many listeners of this edition of the On The Mark Show. I want to thank you, Eric, for the invitation to join you tonight. I know that the Premier is a little bit under the weather, and I believe that he certainly deserves and needs the rest. So I am indeed delighted to join you tonight with this edition of the On The Mark show. Eric, I want to join with you and offer some words of condolences. I know we have a number of persons in our community who are in the mourning column tonight. One who readily comes to mind is my good friend here in Stony Grove, Mr. Brian Claxton, on the loss of his dear wife, Lisa. We also learn of the passing of Sean Henville, which was a shock and a shock to all of us, really, when we heard it. I want to take this opportunity to offer my condolences to his entire family, his dear wife Angela, his mom Sheila, his daughter, his brother Adrian, and all those who are in the all those who are, sorry, I was a little bit distracted. All those who are in the aviation industry. I know that he would have been a long-standing pilot here on the island of Nevis, flown with a number of airlines, and you would have indicated your own personal experiences with him. Sean was one of those individuals who always gave a word of encouragement. One of the things that I know he used to say to me, boy, what you get yourself into? This, and we used to laugh about it, really, about this politics thing. But I think that it's a great loss for the island of Nevis. I know that it's a tremendous loss for his family, and I hope that they can find some comfort in this very, very difficult time. Sean was one of those individuals who I believe always wanted to see Nevis move onward and upward, and he always gave that word of encouragement in his own unique way and in his own unique style. And I think, like I said, that would be a tremendous loss for the island and the people of Nevis. He was one of those persons as well who, in my mind, was a pioneer, a trailblazer. Being a pilot in Nevis, being very few. We also have one of those very distinguished pilots who also came from Nevis, the good Barney Esdale. So he would have followed and in some very, very good example as a pilot. But I think that his loss would make Nevis a bit more poor because he was one who always was a committed individual to whatever he decided to do. And I think that it's a great loss to the island of Nevis. You indicated that our former Prime Minister, Dr. Denzil Douglas, is celebrating 35 years in our politics. I think that's quite some time in this kind of business. And I want to join with you and offer my own congratulations to him. I believe that he would have brought to St. Kitts and Nevis, in my mind, a different style, a different flavor. Love him or hate him, I think that he would have contributed to the development of the island or the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I believe that he would have ensured that while we move ahead as a nation, that the name of St. Kitts and Nevis was always out there. And I want to say to him, congratulations, 35 years. I still think that he have quite a bit of time in him still, based on the last time I saw him. He's still as sharp and as witty as ever. And I think that 35 years certainly has been a good run. It has been a long run in this kind of business. And I think that he may very well be one of the longest serving statesmen around these islands. So I want to congratulate him. I think that he have made his contribution to the development of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I know he is still making a contribution. I think that his experience certainly can be of value to the federal government. He have been there, he have seen, I think, he have seen many things. He has been involved in many things here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I think that his what I would call senior statesmanship mantra, so to speak, would be of some good value to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Eric, I want to also say happy birthday to all those persons who are celebrating a birthday tonight or in the coming weeks. I believe that we would have today been graced with a visit from the debaters who would have won the Leeward Island debating competition recently. And I said to them today that what they have done, they have proven that they can compete on any stage. And I think that that is the point I wanted to leave with these young people, that listen, you are just as good as any and better than many. And I want them to understand that while this was a debating competition, I want them to understand that they can compete with anybody anywhere on this planet. And once they apply themselves and once they are willing to put in the hard work and make the effort, that they can certainly reap success. And that was my message to them today. And I really want to say congratulations to them. I think that they have made Nevis proud. They have made the Federation proud, really, because I think that it was a keen competition between the both teams from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I feel that, in my mind, looking at what I saw on those debates, that Nevis was definitely the better team. So I want to congratulate them. I want to certainly congratulate the entire support staff, the teachers, the parents, those persons who would have helped them to prepare the material so that they were able to come out on top. And I think that, preparing the material and getting the material is one thing, but making it and delivering it on the night is in my mind is what it's all about. Getting an appreciation of the material was good, but delivering it was exceptional. So I want to congratulate them. I want to say advance birthday greetings to my son, Sadwa. He will be celebrating his birthday next week. 32. I can't believe it, but I want to say happy birthday to him. I'm very proud of him. I'm proud of all of my children, and I thought that tonight, in the season of Lent and
Holy
Week and Easter and the Resurrection, it's a good time to celebrate. And I just wanted to wish him a happy advance birthday greetings. Eric, where do I start? We have so many areas to cover.
We have a lot of things to cover tonight, but before we get into the heavy lifting, I think you have an event. Your constituency have an event coming up on Monday.
Yes,
maybe you need to talk a little about the lighter stuff first before we do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, we have some folks that is organizing an event there. I think this might be the third year actually. For this event there at the Ramsbury Playfield. It's a kind of fun day. We'll have some cricket, we'll have the bouncing castle. We are hoping to also have, I see they tell me that they're having father's race. I don't know if they want me to go into the father's race, but I'll see.
As the premier will say, better go sit down.
They also have mothers race. They have some domino competition. The beer drinking competition. Maybe that one you can. And I think that the idea is that the family on a whole can go out on Easter Monday and in the Ramsbury area, the Playfield area, and relax, unwind, have some fun, have some good family clean fun. They will be having the New Vibe band, the Small Axe band. I think there was someone else. And I just want to take this opportunity to invite everyone in St. Paul's to go out and attend this.
And out of St. Paul's.
Out of St. Paul's, in and out of St.
Right.
Paul's and the whole of Nevis.
Right.
Because I think that the idea is to just have a relaxing afternoon, listening to some good music, and watch the domino players and watch those persons who think that they can drink as many beers as they can. And of course the father and mother's race and the domino competition. So I just want to give an invitation to everyone in the constituency and those who are throughout Nevis to come and enjoy a good Easter Monday with us. I think that it's an event that we feel will continue to not only bring the community together but show some appreciation for us as a community, and I really want to encourage everyone to come on out and enjoy themselves on Easter Monday.
Thank you, Minister. And of course, Minister Brand would have spoken about the fun day. And as I said, we're going to do a little bit of a more heavy lifting now. Of course, we all know.
Before we get into the heavy lifting, I know you said that we have launched the best village competition. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to encourage the various villages and communities around Nevis to take this best village competition. Don't take it too seriously. Let me put that on the side, but don't take it too seriously. But I want the people to look at this as a way of trying to beautify our various communities. Win, lose, or draw, the idea is to try and beautify our community. And there will be a winner, but I think that regardless of who wins, look at this as an initiative to try and help beautify our community. I believe that from time to time we see some unsightly disposal of garbage in places where they ought not to be disposed of, and we get up in arms and we ask how it is that people can dispose of garbage in these places, and I think that this is an opportunity for us to turn that around and help beautify our community. I also want to encourage all of those various villages and communities in and around my constituency to put in the effort and make sure that we win this best village competition.
I want to endorse that as well. You are finished with
no
that? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that the idea is, like I said, the idea is to try and beautify the various communities.
Mm-hmm.
This year the island of Nevis is celebrating its 50th anniversary of Culturama. I think that's a big deal. It's a significant milestone. When we think of where we have come from in terms of Culturama, I remember when the days when we used to put up coconut branches to keep out the eyes and so on and so forth. We have come some ways from that, and I think that this 50th anniversary should be a celebration of all things Nevision.
Amen.
I know that we also have some different communities who have now made Nevis their home. We have had persons from various islands throughout the region, and I want to say to them as well, this is a celebration of all people, and I want them to also join in and participate in our celebration, because once we celebrate this cultural event, we are celebrating people.
Amen.
We are celebrating our way of life. We are celebrating our our humanity, our food, our lifestyle, our culture. And I think that many of the persons who have taken up residence here on the island of Nevis have a similar culture. So it's all about that one big celebration. I also want to use this opportunity to say to our people who are living abroad, come home. Come on home. I think that it would be a good time to return home and see for yourself a lot of the things that is happening here on the island of Nevis. Because there are some persons who are saying that nothing is going on. You know, and I know that when people come home for this 50th anniversary of Culturama, I know that some people are going to be
blown away.
They are going to be ecstatic to see some of the transformation, and they are going to be so delighted to see that somebody is trying to fool them.
Precisely.
Eric, I would stop there, and then we can probably get into.
Okay. Well, before I just wanted to endorse what you said about the best village competition as well, because I was at the launch this afternoon. I was asked to bring some brief remarks as the Minister of Culture. Of course, it is being done to coincide with Culturama,
yeah,
right? And so it's done in order to make people to spruce up their villages. Of course, you have been saying all along we want the island to be spruced up. So when our returning nationals come home and our visitors come, they will come to a spruced up Nevis one and to come into an unforgettable experience. And one thing you said that I really love what you said, Spencer, is that you said don't look at it as a competition. Look at it as an opportunity for you to just spruce up your village.
Yeah.
Because as it was said in the launch this afternoon, there is no money at stake here.
Right.
It's bragging rights. And you're going to be getting a billboard that says best kept village, but there will be no monetary prize. You know, and so it's, and as I said at the launch as well, we should be taking pride in our communities and in our island, in our country, to just do things voluntarily without having to say we are doing it. Even though we are doing it for Culturama, we are doing it for ourselves as well. That pride we should have, that pride of country we should always have, and we should always be happy to do anything to spruce up our community. Of course, we know that we have the Island Enhancement Initiative as well, where persons can spruce up their homes. You can get duty-free concession in terms of if you want to paint up, if you want to put up a fence, a new fence, if you want to put in a driveway, that kind of stuff. Mark you, you're not going to be able to build a new house from that initiative, right? So I want to and then persons have even called me and asked me if the government is actually giving away money for that. The government is not giving away any money for that. It's by way of you getting some concessions. Okay? And so please, as I really like what Minister said, do not look at it as a competition. Just look at it as an opportunity for you to do some voluntary work and to spruce up your community.
Eric, while we talk about sprucing up the various community, I just want to, the Premier is not here tonight, but I just want to say on behalf of the Premier that there will be this community cleanup in Upper St. John's,
yes,
on Saturday the 30th to Monday, April 1st.
Yes.
And that is in Upper St. John's. And I want to encourage the various households in Upper St. John's, that this is an opportunity to get rid of some of those old refrigerators, stoves, and so on and so forth, and get them disposed of.
You have the areas?
They did say Upper St. John's.
Upper St. John's. I think the areas are listed on the poster. So if you can bring the poster up. And
dumpsters will be placed at Cox, Church Ground, Beach Road, Coal Hill, and Cane Garden. And the residents in those areas are asked to take advantage of this opportunity. For information, call 662-6003 or 667-3371. Let me give those telephone numbers again: 662-6003 or 667-3371. And that is a Easter community cleanup there in Upper St. John's. Just to remind the folks there in Upper St. John's that a dumpster will be placed in Cox, Church Ground, Beach Road, Coal Hill, and Cane Garden. And you are asked to use this opportunity to dispose of that old fridge that you wanted to throw away for some time, that you know, that old stove that you wanted to dispose of for some time. Here is an opportunity to dispose of it free of cost.
Fantastic.
And help clean up your community as well.
All right, congratulations, Mr. Premier, for organizing that cleanup, and I know a lot of persons will certainly welcome that. And of course, now Minister Brand is responsible in the Nevis Island administration for a number of departments and ministries, and his portfolio is very huge. And he is one very unassuming, quiet and humble. He's not one who likes to brag, right? But I'm going to give him the opportunity tonight to do a little bragging now and again, right? And Minister Brand, we just want to have a little discussion in terms of two particular areas in your ministry, because if we were to discuss your ministry and what you would have done in a short couple of years, it would take us maybe a whole week here at Von Radio, and Von Radio ain't gonna give us that kind of opportunity to stay here for a week or not even a day, right? We just have 2 hours from 8 to 10, and a lot of the time has gone already, and so we're gonna just have a little chat about some of the things that would have taken place in your ministry during your tenure as an extraordinary minister, an extraordinary hard-working minister. And maybe it is timely, maybe we can start to talk about water, because I know we had a situation here over the past couple of days where water is concerned, and I know people were panicking. I was getting a lot of calls. I'm sure you got a lot more calls than me, right? And so maybe you can just give us a little indication as to what would have taken place, how you were able to deal with the situation and get it under control so quickly.
Well, thank you, Eric. You are correct. I don't really like to, as the old people say, blow my own trumpet. It's probably not in my nature and my DNA anyway. But you are correct. We suffered a major what I call incident there over the weekend. The technical team would have advised me that one of our largest and deepest pump well in the Fort Gills area went down, caused by something they call a ground fault, and that would have disabled the pump, so to speak. That particular well is set at, I think, 650 feet. So right then and there we knew that it would have been a challenge.
Yes.
That particular well as well also feed the entire Gingerland area into St. John's, and oftentimes we normally utilize water supply from that to also assist in St. Paul's, and as far over as just up to Four Seasons and so on. So it was a critical breakdown here on the island of Nevis. Saturday we mobilized Saturday, and we started the extraction of the damaged pump Sunday morning. It took some time because while the pump is set at 650 feet, the casing each casing is about 20 feet long. So you had to extract casing one by one. That took some time, and then after we would have extracted the pump, we had to dismantle it, remove it from the system, install a new pump. And I am so happy that we took a decision some years ago to make sure that we had a standby pump for this particular well. And of course, a few other a few other wells throughout the island. We do have standby pumps, spares, because we recognize that if, as would have happened, as in the case of this well, once it goes down, if we did not have a spare, the whole of Nevis would have been out of water all now.
Wow.
And we decided that we needed to have a spear. We had this spear in the storeroom sitting down, so we didn't really have to be running around looking at pump or putting down a pump that was not to the capacity or the capability. So I was very happy about that. We ensured that on Monday we started to finish the job. It took some hours, and in the early afternoon we were able to be back up and pumping water. I said in the house that water is not like electricity. It is going to take some time to pressurize all of the various communities.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know even now there are still some low pressure in some of those areas, and over time it's going to build up and things like that. But it was a major breakdown, but I am just so happy that we had the necessary spares right at our fingertips to replace that pump. I want to, Eric, use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to the entire team, but in particular the head of that distribution team, one Clishan Wilson. This is a young man who is, anybody who knows Clishan have a kind of energy about him. And in my conversation with him, he said to me one thing: all I need is the time. All I need is the time. We'll get it done. And he really marshaled the entire team. He marshaled the troops. He ensured that things were done in a safe. This is not a rush job.
Mm-hmm.
You had to make sure that you carry out this operation in a very safe way and systematic way.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that he was able to ensure that safety first, and he was able to get it done. I believe that the whole of Nevis would have loved for this to have been done a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I as the minister would have loved for it to be done a lot quicker. But we wanted to make sure that it was done safely. It was done in a way that we did not create more of a problem than trying to solve what we were trying to. So I thought that the leadership of Clishan was very evident. The number of electricians, we had good friend here, Glenn. I want to say a very big thank you to Clishan and the entire team. I know that they would have put in some long hours. I think that I, as the minister, is deeply satisfied with the way in which they executed this particular restoration project. And I said in the parliament that, look, we have skillful and talented young people around this place, right? Skillful and talented young people led by skillful and talented young people as well. And I thought that the way in which that they handled this particular issue was very commendable. I really want to thank them. I believe that the people of Nevis, there's a lot that goes on in the background that I don't think that the people of Nevis are aware. To pull a well from 650 feet.
That's a lot of work.
And you have to do that in 20 feet increments.
I don't think people understand the magnitude of what they had to do over there at Fort Gills.
Right.
Spencer. I don't think people really understand, you know.
They had to pull the well in the first instant. They had to do that in 20 feet increments. They had to fix the problem, and then they had to
put it back.
Put the pump back down again in 20 feet increments. So,
wow.
I just want to say how proud I am of them. Also, Mr. Roger Hanley, the operations manager. I think that his years of experience as well would have given some good advice. I know that the manager of the Nevis Water Department, Miss Mills, it was a pressure weekend. Doing a post-mortem of the whole situation, there are some areas where I think that we will have to improve on, and I've said to the team that, you know, there are some areas here and there where we definitely need to make some improvement on. But I think all in all, I think that they did a remarkable job. I want to say to the people of Nevis, I want to apologize to the people of Nevis for the inconvenience. you spoke about getting the telephone calls. Well, this,
I guess your phone didn't stop ringing, right?
This phone here, right? And you try to answer as quickly as you can.
Yes.
But it was an overwhelming period, and I know that the whole of Nevis, it's a weekend, people want to wash and do all kind of things and so on and so forth, and it came on a Friday night and into Saturday and then part of Sunday, and so it was a little it was very disruptive, and I really want to again apologize to the people of Nevis for the inconvenience. While I apologize for the inconvenience, I want to say as well, Eric, that these kind of breakdowns will occur.
Yes.
They will happen. Anything that is mechanical, anything that is electrical, at some point will go down. And I think that this is a good example for us to always try and have some emergency backup water.
Yes.
1 or 2 bottles of water that can tie you over for a day or two. I know that we encourage the construction of cisterns in residential dwellings. We are also encouraging persons to consider the opportunity of purchasing these water storage tanks, and all of these are in the event that we have situations like these. They will happen. Just like neglect, they would have breakdowns, they would have disruption. And I think for us to lessen the impact and the inconvenience, that we can develop a culture of having that backup supply of water. While I'm on water, we are in the process of commencing some drilling. We would have had an exercise started in October last year. We would have sent out some bids for some drilling. We had 5 companies who we would have sent out those invitations to. We would have had some responses. We would have analyzed those responses, and we would have selected a company out of Trinidad and Tobago, Water and Oil Well Services, to do some drilling here on the island of Nevis. We are just tidying up and cleaning up the contract because we want to make sure that everybody have their I's dotted and their T crossed. And once that is done, then very shortly we hope that they will be mobilized and get on the ground to actually do some drilling. I know that there is a concern where people are concerned in terms of this big event that is coming up in a few months. We are expecting that at least one of those new wells will be online before Culturama, and we know that that would add some greater viability, so to speak, in the system. We have also embarked on this desal project,
yes.
UAE Singis and Nevis desal project there in the Butlers area. This is a project that has been around for some time. It's finally at the execution stage, and we are also hoping that in a few months' time we will see an additional 60,000+ gallons of water in the system. So we continue to try and add new water in the system. But I want to say to our people, while there continue to be the need for more water, and while there continue to be a stress on the system to produce more water, I want to say to our people to try as much as possible to conserve as much water as they possibly can. We cannot think about wasting our water, because it is an extensive and expensive exercise to bring water to the household. And I want our people to get into the habit and in the culture of preservation, try and preserve as much water as they possibly can. Conservation, conserve as much water as they possibly can. You don't need to go into the bathroom and just turn on the pipe and watch the water run while you're there brushing your teeth and things like that. So those are the kind of things that I'm asking our people to get into the habit of doing. the onus is also on us as a department, that whenever there is some leak, that we try and be as much more responsive. And I keep saying to the team, listen, we are asking the general public to conserve water, but we as the department also have to be a lot more responsive. That whenever there is leaks, whenever there is a break in the line, that we try and fix it as quickly as possible. Because if we ourselves are trying to engage in good practice in terms of fixing leaks, fixing broken lines as quickly as we can, then the general public will say, listen, water department is playing their part, they too must play their part.
They are leading from the
so
front.
it's a partnership, I think, with the general public in terms of reducing the wastage of water, conserving water, preserving water. And I think that once we are willing to do those kind of things, then I think that the reduction and the pressure and the stress on the system can be reduced. The government is doing its part in trying to make sure that we can have more than enough water here on the island of Nevis. The data that we have is saying that we have, reservoirs of water, and we just need to extract it. But I want our people to get in the habit as much as possible not to waste water. I'm begging them, please, because a situation that we have had this weekend, we hear the cry, we hear the pain, we hear the suffering.
Yes.
And I want our people to appreciate and understand that this is a critical resource. It is important for the agriculture sector. It is important for our tourism sector, for our construction sector, for our healthcare sector. Every single sector on the island of Nevis depends on water. And I want us to understand that. Let us not waste it.
Spencer, I want to join with you in commending Clishan, young Clishan, and the entire team at the water department, because I realized it was not an easy task to get that well back up and running. And you all practically worked around the clock Monday to ensure that the water was back on. And I mean, I think, and the notice that went out said that, the water is going to be fluctuating until Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so when some people got their water back on Monday afternoon, they were very happy. As a matter of fact, some people told me they got their water back on Monday morning. Yeah. And so I want to commend the team, and I want to commend you as well, Minister Spencer Brand, because you were out there on the ground with them. I don't think you hardly left them. You were there. You know that moral support. Sometimes you don't understand how much that moral support, how long way it can go in motivating the team. I'm sure your staff were very happy to see you.
I had to tell a few of them go and eat the lunch actually, because they were just there working. I had to send them to a few Monday. I said, guys, you need to go and eat your lunch. That was the level of commitment I saw there. And like I said, it's a very unique bunch. What they do behind the scenes and out of the glaring public eye is something that I, for one, have grown to appreciate since I've become the minister with responsibility for water. I think that the ordinary folks on the street may not necessarily realize and understand how important and critical a role that these individuals play. And I think that this was just another good example of their commitment to what they sought to do. Like I said, I had to tell, I think it was about 3 or 4 of them, please go and eat.
And Spencer, we have to commend you as well, because, I mean, you said something in cabinet today. You said it again this evening. That is very instructive. That if it weren't for your vision to have a standby pump there, then what would have become of us? I mean, the whole island could have been out of water for days. And so that we have to commend you highly on having that vision to ensure, listen, let us have a standby pump here. So at least nobody had to be running up and down to be looking for a pump after we realized what had happened. Yeah,
well, like I said, anything that is mechanical and electrical will
break down
eventually break down.
Yes.
And it would have been a very worst case scenario here if we did not have that spear pump. And actually, it's been there sitting now nearly 3 years. We bought it in early 2022.
Thank God it was there.
Because in our planning meeting, it was said that, listen, we have some pump that have so 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and at some point there we got 11 years out of this particular pump.
Wow.
Which by industry standard is a very, very good time. And I was just so happy that we had this fear.
and I think what happened as well, Spencer, it highlights the fact that getting water into people's tap, getting water home to people, is not any cheap venture. Someone met me the other day and complained, say, you carry up the water rate. And Spencer, since you've been there as the minister with responsibility for water, I mean, maybe you can just walk us through a couple of the things that have happened, how we have revolutionized and I think you, as I said, I know you don't like to brag, but I am sure that we have one of the best water distribution systems in the region.
Well, we have done over the years some significant improvement to our distribution system. I think that the general public would recall that we have had the CDB water enhancement project here on the island of Nevis, where we would have replaced all of those old cast iron pipes from around Nevis. And the idea was to be able to build a lot of redundancy in the system. And the good thing about that initiative, it created the opportunity for us to be able to move water throughout the island. That was one component of it. The other component of it, of course, was to ensure that we install a number of storage tanks. We would have installed the storage tank there, right there at Pond Hill.
Yes.
Recently. In the past, we would have done. In the past, we would have done in the St. Thomas's, St. James's area. We would have also installed a new storage tank there in Hamilton.
Yes.
We have one there to put in our Morning Star. I think that might be one that we are contemplating, that we hope that we will get done in this year, because there is a tank there that is, has passed its sell-by date really, and it's not really functioning.
And the one up at Stony Hill wasn't recently replaced as
right,
well?
Stony Hill.
Yes.
The one at Morning Star, that is also a critical one, because what that would do, that would allow us to feed Bath Village, Cherry Garden, Brown Hill, Morning Star area, Church Ground and those areas. Right now we are feeding them from almost all of Gingerland. So we want to be able to reduce that distance in feeding those areas. So that is also a critical one. We also have some work that we intend to do over in the St. James's area, because that's another area that is often affected whenever we have some issues. But I think over the years we continue to see a significant improvement in the storage capacity and the delivery system. When I became the minister, I met a well in the Hamilton area that, the chemical content was a little bit off. And when I look at the productivity of that well, I said, listen, we have a significant amount of water here sitting down that we are not using. The science is telling me that we can treat this water and get this water into the system. We install a treatment plant on that particular well. And again, if we did not do that, if we still had that well there sitting down, we would have been in more trouble over the weekend. So I thought that while I know that we still have some work to do, we have to continue to expand our new source of water. We also have to continue the storage capacity throughout the island, and I feel that wherever we can improve on the storage capacity will all go well for us. Again, we continue to see. You spoke about the price of water,
Yes.
the price of getting the water to the household. Since I became the minister, we have seen prices in water meter, pipes, pumps, double,
Everything
triple,
skyrocket.
quadruple, and so on.
Mhm.
We don't necessarily now have the luxury of 30-day credit or 60-day credit or 90-day credit. These suppliers are saying cash on,
Delivery.
not only on delivery, cash at order.
Right.
So we don't necessarily now have the luxury of paying for things
After.
30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. There may be still one or two companies that offer us that privilege, but a lot of those companies have said, listen,
Pay up front.
the global circumstances is now saying, and a lot of things are not being manufactured and put on shelf anymore. A lot of these products are
By order.
by order,
Mhm.
and the scary thing about it sometimes is that the lead time is 3 months, 4 months, and those kind of things. So what we now have to do is that now that we have installed this pump that we have had for the last nearly 3 years, we are going to have to order one as
Of
quickly as
course.
possible,
Of
because
course.
like I said, we don't know where something like this will happen again in that area. We want to be able to be in a position to replace it as quickly as possible. We will continue to make the necessary improvements. I am very confident that the new drilling exercise here on the island of Nevis would take us to another level. We would add some additional storage capacity over time, and I think that, and I know that you, as the Minister of Agriculture, I must admit, Minister, that when you say some things about agriculture,
You get scared.
I scratch my head. I said to myself, I wonder if
You
this-
can't have agriculture without
I
water.
wonder if this guy is understanding what he's telling me. But I think that we have responded well enough to the agriculture sector. I know that it was something that we championed to make sure that we expand our agriculture in a big way, and I think that the water department have also responded. It has been a testing time for based on the rapid expansion, but I think that we will be in a position very shortly to be in a lot more comfortable position. I think for us as a small island developing state, that for us to really see any meaningful you have a call?
Okay, we have a call online. As a matter of fact, I was about to open the line in a couple minutes. Caller, we lost that caller. Caller, if you can call back, we're going to be opening up the lines very shortly. So you can call back any moment now, because of course we're going to continue our chit chat. But if anyone wants to call in and maybe offer anything or say anything to Minister Brand, who is here, you can do so. All right, Minister, go right ahead. Spencer.
I was saying that as a small island developing state, a number of things is critical for us to ensure that we can stay ahead of whatever development comes to the island. Water is critical
Very.
for any development in the tourism sector, as I said earlier, in agriculture, manufacturing, the healthcare sector. All of those sectors are areas that depend heavily on water. And so we are going to have to continue to ensure that we continue to expand our new sources of water, our storage capacity, to ensure that these kind of developments can be sustainable.
Okay, hold your thought. We have the caller back online. Good evening, caller. You're live and on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Evelyn.
Good evening. How you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Brandt.
Good evening, sir.
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize. Mr. Brandt said that pump has been running for 11 years. has given 11 years of service. And I just want people to understand, when he say 11 years of service, that pump has been 650 feet below the surface
Yes.
in hot water, running 24/7
Yes.
for 11 years. My God, he had to break them at some point.
Well,
If you break them at 11 years, right, people have to learn to appreciate that. And some people, they start criticizing and all that without knowing the gravity of the thing. So some of these things Mr. Brand explained in Parliament, it's important that these things be explained so that people get a better appreciation of what's going on.
Yes.
The other thing is, there was a discussion on Let's Talk last night, and there was some talk about people not drinking cistern water and all that. But I think it's a very good idea to have a cistern or a backup tank or something, so that in case something like this happens, people have to take responsibility.
and it will happen again, eh?
Because they're man-made
Well,
stuff.
I mean, I as a technician know that there's only one line going down there and only one pump could be down there.
That's right.
When that one pump breaks down, it's going to take 2 days to be able to drive up 650 feet and load on a new one.
Mhm.
So that line would be down. That supply would be down. So it's happening again. There's no way. Unless you're going to drill another well next by, so that when one go down, you just switch to the other one and you could repair this one. No, that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's just as it is.
Yeah.
And what I'm gathering is that well is the paramount supply of
Yeah.
water we need.
Yes, that's correct.
So this had to happen.
Hmm.
And find people jump on the bandwagon and start criticizing without appreciating the gravity of the situation. I think as a people, we should start taking more responsibility.
You're right.
All right.
Thank you.
very
Thank you very much, caller. Spencer, the caller hit the nail on the head. We need to be responsible. And as I was telling somebody on Sunday, I have never been caught off guard because, I always have things, buckets and bottles always filled up at home, and so persons need to be aware these are man-made stuff, anything can happen. And as you rightly said, caller, and as you would have said earlier on, Spencer, people should take this as warning and have some kind of backup system. Make sure you always have stuff filled up at home. If you can afford to buy a tank, whenever you're building a home, if you can afford to put in a cistern, kindly do so, because really and truly water is very essential. And people are lost when there's no water. That is why people were so frantic, and people were calling so many times on Sunday and Monday.
Well, it's you really can't do anything without water.
No.
I think that persons can perhaps survive without electricity for a bit, but water is a different creature by itself.
Definitely.
And if that is unavailable, then people begin to get a little restless, and the unease begin to settle in, and so on. But like I said, I hope that our people will look at this as something that they can mitigate against, take some necessary precaution and prepare themselves, because like I said, these mechanical stuff will go down.
Yes.
They have been working and eventually something is going to go.
Indeed.
It's a man-made component, and we expect that these kind of things would happen. You just have to try and, as far as possible, mitigate against it and eliminate or reduce the inconvenience as much as we can.
Right.
And I think that is what we try to do by getting this pump up as quickly as we possibly can.
And you did a marvelous job.
Yeah.
Folks, you are in tune to the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. It's another On The Mark program. It's the 27th of March, 2024. And if you're just joining us, I'm here. I am sitting in for the regular host, Honorable Mark Brantley, who's a little under the weather tonight. Eric Evelyn here hosting. And I have with me in the studio the Honorable Spencer Brand. And we are just discussing some of the things that he's responsible for, the fantastic job that he's been doing. Of course, we have been discussing water. If you are interested in calling in, please feel free to do so. Our numbers are 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. So if you're interested in calling in and asking Minister a question or asking me a question or putting anything else on the table, feel free to do so. In the meantime, we will continue with our discussion here. As I was saying earlier on Spencer, people have been questioning why we need to raise the water rates, but I mean, when these things happen, we realize how expensive it is to have these things and to maintain.
Well, the price of water in Nevis is still
Very cheap.
not where it should be.
No.
And I have looked at, I don't have the information in front of me, but I've looked at other territories throughout the region, and what we are paying for water here in Nevis. Some islands are paying higher than that in US. Right? We have in a number of these other territories using desalination. We are not at that point yet, and I say yet because we now have a project where we would be seeing some desalination water will be going into the system. But and
you must point out as well that to get involved in desalination will
the
actually
energy.
carry up the price of water.
I'm not gonna go there yet. But the price of getting water to the general public is still heavily subsidized by the government. Our good folks there at Nevlec have been very kind to us over the many years, because our water driven system is heavily dependent on electricity.
Right.
And I know that over the years that has been a kind of goodwill gesture on the part of Nevlec to the people of Nevis. So that is heavily subsidized. The cost of materials, like I said earlier, have increased significantly, especially since the onset of COVID. We now have significant lead time, and we now also have a situation where persons are no longer giving you this 30-day credit, 60-day credit. So everything is heavily dependent on a heavy and high outlay of cash upfront.
Okay, we have another call online. Good evening. Hold your thought. Good evening, caller. You're live and on the mark.
Good evening again, Mr. Evelyn.
Yes, sir.
A question from Mr. Brand. Oh, before go to that, Mr. Evelyn.
Yes, sir.
The desalination plant, I understand, is solar driven. So
yes.
So nobody go down the road about carrying up the price.
Well, I will get to that, caller.
Well, this one is solar driven. I was saying that in case we have one that is being run by electricity, because if it's an electricity driven one, it will certainly carry up the cost.
If we have one that's solar driven, by the time we use that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you don't think we learn the lesson to stay in the lane?
Yes.
But caller, I'm happy you raised that, and I was going to get to that, but the solar energy, you realize that you only have maybe about 8-9 hours of solar energy a day, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the thinking is that after we would have switched off, so to speak, from the solar energy, then you definitely would need to turn over to the
electricity.
To power grid.
To power grid, exactly. So while
I didn't hear that part.
You didn't hear that part?
No, when I heard it's solar driven, boy, I also take up with that. I mean, I wasn't aware of it before. When I heard that it's solar driven, man, I was sold on the idea.
Well, the idea is to reduce as much as possible the electricity, and if we can get 8 hours of solar, of course, that would help to significantly reduce the energy costs.
Yeah.
Once the solar energy part of it is,
as far as I know, with solar, right? What we do is we harvest the electricity and store it in a battery.
Right. So all of that is a part of the project. So you would eventually have to switch it over.
You then use overnight.
Right.
Anyway, that's another thing. Another question, another thing that I wanted to find out about the brand is on Monday morning, I was surprised to see the reclamation work done on Marion Avenue, and I was wondering why, because I mean that looked fine to me. I didn't notice any blemishes on Marion Avenue. What was the reason for that?
Well, at the start of the year, the team would have provided for me what I would call the schedule of works for what they would want to do for the entire 2024. Marion Avenue was one of those projects that they would have highlighted. I think that the argument can be said that perhaps there were other areas that could have been given the attention, and you're not going to get any argument from me with that. It is something that I said to the team, because the request came and they asked for and they went ahead and did it. We went ahead and did it. I know that some persons would have asked the question, well, couldn't some other, and that's a fair argument, and I agree that perhaps other consideration could have been given, and that's a fair argument, and I understand and I appreciate it.
Well, Minister Brand,
Mm-hmm.
I was alarmed when I saw that. And you know the reason for my alarm? Is the Long Point Road. I mean, I remember when you did Government Road, and I was thinking then the Long Point Road would have been a better idea. The reason being, that road is over, it's going on 30 years, if you're not 30 years already.
Close to that, I think.
It's stripped to the bone. But for the bed, the proper base bed that Lefko put down there, that road would have fallen apart already. It's sinking some areas. It needs serious attention. And I would have preferred if you had done part of that. Prioritize. I mean, I keep hearing that money is scarce, and prioritize. I really see. I have a problem with digging up, stripping Marion Avenue to and you have Long Point Road in the condition it's in. There's so many other roads that really need the attention. I would like to see more.
I hear you, caller, and I appreciate that. That's a sentiment that I know that was expressed. And the Long Point Road, we do have for the Long Point Road a quotation to do it. And I think that we are looking at one or two options of how we are going to deal with that particular stretch of road. You are correct. It is a road that is heavily being utilized. Heavy equipment.
The heaviest used road on even.
Yes, the heavy lifting is on it.
Yes.
And we know that it's going to be a project that is going to be involved. You are correct. The structure of the road, from all reports, because from time to time we check it, is still in very good condition. It's just that the aging of the asphalt.
Some areas that sink.
Yeah.
They just need repacking. But the structure of that road is solid.
It's still pretty good. Yes, you're correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the surface has been stripped.
Mm-hmm.
All right, caller. Thank you very
All
much. Thanks very much
Yes.
for your contribution.
And the other thing is, the other thing to back up to help reinforce that point is, asphalt only lasts for a certain time, and that don't go on twice a day.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much, caller. Do we
No
have another
problem.
call online? No, not yet. Okay, Mr. Brand, we've been talking a lot about water, and we can talk about water all night because there's so much more we can say about water. But I know there are a lot more things that we're responsible. Let me talk a little bit about roads, because I know that since you have become the minister, you have done quite a lot throughout the length and breadth of the island.
Well, the reality is, Eric, there is a heavy demand for improved roads
Yes.
throughout Nevis, and whether we like it or not, every village, every community, every parish, I have a list, a long list in my, and sometimes
And it's getting longer. by the day.
I look at the list and I say, Father Jesus, help me, because the reality is the demand is there.
Okay, we have a call online. Good evening, caller. You're live on the mark.
Good night.
Good night. How are you
I
doing?
would like to speak to Mr. Brand.
Good
He's
evening.
right here. You
Good
can
evening.
speak to him.
I'm barely hearing you.
Mr. Brand,
Yes.
you have some unfinished work over at Bat Village. I have a daughter living out there, and she said you all did promise her a retaining wall. Her land had cut off, so she don't have much space to walk in front. You all need to go back and look after that, please, because the dirt is giving away, and she don't have any much space to walk in front there. So she said you all was supposed to come back, and she ain't see anybody coming back.
Well, I know we have.
Past the community center coming over by the project houses.
Yes.
Yeah, unfinished work right there by the roadside. You all need to put something there to keep the dirt up, because the dirt is breaking up.
I know we have one or two little stuff out there to do, so I'll remind the team to go and have a look at it.
Yeah, because it's long now. I need the space, because you don't have any space. The land is so small.
All right.
Okay?
All right,
Okay.
dear.
Thank you very
so
much, caller. Thank you very
And
much.
thanks for sending back the water.
Well,
Okay?
sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah, because every time when you're accustomed to open your pipe, go in the kitchen and wash
Yeah.
you forget that the water is not on.
Yeah.
So you just go and open and you just don't get anything. So thank you very much.
All right.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and you have a good night. All the very
Okay,
best to you.
okay.
All right. Yes, Minister
Yeah,
Brand.
I was saying that the demand throughout the length and breadth of Nevis, and constructing road is a heavy outlay of resources, manpower and finances as well. We have another caller.
We have another caller online. Good evening, caller. You're live on the mark.
Hi. Good night.
Good night. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a correction to a statement Mr. Brand made. Right, concerning the replacement of the pipe, the copper pipe then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because in Borden Pasture we still got copper pipe coming up the hill, and that was supposed to be a part of the project, so I was just wondering if it will be ever replaced. Yeah,
In Borden Pasture.
Borden Pasture.
Okay.
Yeah, man, just note that.
Yes, I wrote it down. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for that, caller.
Thanks much. I appreciate it.
And we've been waiting for a lovely road up here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're working on that. Don't worry.
Yes, I did have a visitor from that area. I think a week and a half ago. So persons continue to make the case for, like I said, in the various areas.
Okay. Yeah, man, you have to look after you.
Yes.
Thanks for your patience, caller. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Like I said, it's a high demand throughout the length and breadth of the island of Nevis, and I think that while we try to prioritize with the limited resources that we do have. We try to see how best and how far we can stretch what we do have. Like I said, every single thing has the price and everything continue to increase. But I have a very, very long list. We did something up in Rollins late last year into this year.
In the Zetlands area. And
I don't have to tell you how
very happy.
I don't have to tell you how long. I remember at a town hall meeting in Bath Village, a good lady from Rollins left Rollins, came to Bath and said it's 15 years she was dealing with this particular. And I think all over Nevis we can hear those similar sentiments. Persons have had issues for 10, 15, 20 years. We are trying.
We are trying, and then we are listening to the people, and we are reaching out. But Minister, you have quite a legacy of roads since you have become the minister. Maybe you can just remind us of some of the roads that have been done under your watch.
One of the project I thought that was critical was this stretch of road in the Nelson Spring area. We all know that in that area is a waterlogged area, and from time to time the road would basically be underwater. And when we decided to conceptualize that project, I said to the contractor, listen, we have had this long-standing problem in this area with water coming through, and the contractor gave their guarantee that based on the technology and the application as to how they were going to deal with this, we should be able to mitigate against that. We have, I thought, from Cotton Ground to the top of Cotton Ground all the way over to the entrance of Mount Nevis. That stretch of road was in dire need of improvement and upgrade for many years. We not only did that project, but we also dealt with a number of drainage issues in that area. Whenever we conceptualize a project, we don't just go in to put down asphalt. We take into consideration the drainage, we take into consideration as well safety. We would have actually removed a portion of Hurricane Hill to make that area a lot more safer.
Right.
That was a significant project that we sought to completion from Cotton Ground all the way over to the entrance of Mount Nevis. We would have done the Brown Hill project from all the way up by Sandy, up on the hill, as they would say, to the Island Main Road. We did some. I thought that the stone wall entrance into Brown Hill, in my mind, was one of the better stone walls I've seen in a very long time. It was clean, it was, well done. That is another project that I'm very proud of. The Rollins project, like I said, that was in the making for a very, very long time. And I remember a very elderly lady said that she had been waiting and waiting for something, and she have had some drainage issues over the years when water come down from Rollins, flooded her yard and so on. We went in and we was able to dealt with that project. I am happy that a lot of the drainage issue now in the area has been eliminated. We did what I call the bypass Brown Hill Road. We are now completing the second phase of that project from the basketball court down to the intersection. We would have done from the intersection all the way down to the Long Point Road that gives Brown Hill another exit out of Brown Hill. In Charleston, we would have done Craddock Road. One gentleman tell me that he have lived in Craddock Road all his life, and nothing has been done in Craddock Road for some time. That for me again is another. And we remove a piece of big rock. I got some licks for it. But I thought that it was a safety. It was an obstruction for safety. And we went in and we took off a piece of the rock. Like I said, I get some course for it. I get some licks for it. We did from Big Rock all the way down to TDC. We did Bath. We've just done another phase of Bath Village. We have another phase in Bath Village to do. And we are doing these various projects because we feel Butlers. We are just finishing up the last section of Butlers, actually, but the intersection there by Esme up to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and that will be done over the next few weeks. And we have done a number of village roads. The caller spoke about milling of some areas and have them resurfaced. We did the bridge there by the Samuel Hunkins Drive. From what I saw of that bridge, that was almost like a disaster waiting to happen. We went in and we was able to remove the old bridge, and we've done some bridge, I think, to the back of in Gingerland side here, down to Zion, going back up to Hickman's area.
Yes.
We would have reconstructed that bridge. We have a few areas of concern when it comes to a number of bridges. So we continue to do our work. Like I said, the resources are limited, and we have to basically stretch it as far as possible. And I think that while we continue to develop our country, we would continue to see improvement in roads. We would have done the piece of road there in the Hamilton area from the late Stephen Jones all the way over to the Stevens. I found that when they did the Hamilton Road and they left out that piece of road was a very strange omission, but we went in and we did it, and we have done a number of other small village road. We just completed as well the bypass road from the Artisan
Excellent stretch of road.
village
nice
all the way down to the Nevis Water Department.
Yes.
That again is another area that is heavily utilized, and we continue to do as we need to do. We have a number of projects on the cards that we want to do this year, one of which is the Morgan Estate Road. Some years ago we would have gone in and constructed a water tank in Morgan Estate. The road was dug up, so to speak, to lay some pipe, and over the years the water would have come and destroy a lot of the road. So we are hoping that we will get that done very shortly, get to that very shortly. We have some areas in the Jones Estate area that we are looking at, that we are hoping we will get to. In Jessops and Cotton Ground, we have some areas that we really need to give some attention to. Just a few weeks ago we had an accident in the Nelson Spring area where the traffic had to be diverted, and that is the good thing about Nevis. Nevis have a lot of back roads.
Yes.
and areas where if you have a blockage of the road, you can get out in another way.
That's right.
That's an area that we had earmarked to, because we know from the time you leave the top of Cotton Ground all the way over, you don't really have
Any side road.
So that part, and it showed a few weeks ago when we had that accident there with the electricity pole. These are the kind of things that we will continue to try and see how best we can improve, because these back roads are critical whenever there is a disaster or whenever there is an emergency. They may not necessarily be the main or primary road, but they comes in very handy whenever there is an emergency, and that was one such case where we know we have the road from the entrance of Mount Nevis over to Newcastle. But we deliberately left that section of road out because of the pending Vance W. Army International Airport improvement. So throughout the length and breadth of Nevis, there is a lot of work to be done.
A lot has been done, a lot more to be done. But you know, the thing is, Spencer, I mean, we have grown so accustomed to excellent roads on the island of Nevis that people actually take it for granted, you know, and we in Nevis, we don't realize, I don't think we really appreciate what is being done here, and we don't realize and recognize that Nevis is way ahead of the other islands in the region where the road network is concerned. Only as you just spoke about the piece of road, the stretch of road up that Zetlands. I remember a group of us went walking a couple Saturdays ago, and within that group there was a lady who lives in St. Thomas. She's an Division, but she lives in Thomas. She had been living in St. Thomas for a long time. And when we were traversing that bit of road in Zetlands, and you know, there's a nice little area there where there's a sidewalk and so on, she was amazed because she's saying, listen, I know that governments try to do the main roads and have the main roads looking good, but to have these little side roads in such top shape, and you know what she said? St. Thomas ain't had nothing like this.
Well, the side roads are...
We have a caller. So, good evening, caller. Okay, we missed a caller. Caller, could you call back? So the lady was saying, St. Thomas ain't had no roads like what we have in Nevis. Well, St. Thomas is a U.S. country.
Well, the side roads are very important and critical. We know that once we decide to go in to do some of these side roads, we will have to take up person's property because these side roads are very narrow by nature. And I think that over the years the general public have been very, very cooperative.
Yes.
I really want to say thank you to...
Okay, we have that caller online. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Evelyn.
Yes.
Mr. Brand.
Yes.
One of the things I've noticed, something I've noticed over the years, is the downhill, the water line. You have very high foot pressure. Some places I go to work, I experience up to 140 psi pressure.
Which area in particular? Any particular area?
I found that down in Jessup. 140 psi. I think when I discussed it with somebody, they told me they don't have enough pressure regulators in the, and you know, I believe it's best to invest in the pressure regulators to keep the pressure down, because it exerts all that pressure on the system, and the system will give. The direct result of that is that people have the valves in the toilet blown out, the valves in the face basin blown out, the valves in the kitchen blown out, and it's a high maintenance cost on the homeowners. So, you know, to make it better for all concerned,
well,
I would suggest that
we do have.
Pardon?
Sorry, when you finish.
Yeah, I'll install some more pressure regulators at intervals, and try and keep the pressure under control. I mean, I've seen pressures of like 70 psi. The normal pressure is like 40. I mean, 40 does well, you know. Even if it's below 40, it's okay. But 70, 100, 140, 130, that's excessive.
Well, that pressure obviously would cause some challenge for some of our household appliances and so on. I did say earlier that we are looking at the tank there at Morning Star. Because from time to time, if you have to move water all the way from Foothills, for example, Gingerland, all the way down to Bath and to Cherry Garden, you see the distance and you see the pressure that you're going to have to. So that tank is absolutely critical to reduce some of that pressure that you're talking about. In the Jessups area, I know that we do oftentimes increase the flow rate to 4 seasons, for example. And once we do that, sometimes you get a spike in the pressure. So those are some of the things that can happen.
Yeah, the other thing that I consider is when the pressure is so high and you have a break, you lose a lot more water.
Yeah, the rate of would be
you lose a lot more water.
Yes.
All right, caller, thank you very much. We have another caller holding.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening, caller. You're live on the mark.
Good evening, caller. You're live on the mark.
Caller, could you listen to the telephone?
Good evening, guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Good evening.
And good evening to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here from Ghana Park and Shadwell in St. Kitts. Guys, a couple of questions. We are very pleased to see that you guys get the water who's, well, almost all of the water who's work out in Nevis. And I would guess that the Nevis public is very happy about that. Question on geothermal. Well, we know the Honorable Brantley and the Honorable Conway Maynard and the Honorable Prime Minister have pledged that $17 million would be coming from the federal government.
No, Carl, stop right there.
Caller.
The Premier would have clarified that on the mark before. The money is not coming from the federal government. It's coming from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. So it's not coming from the federal government.
But before the federal government and the Nevis Island administration had worked together, because we all know that over the years that the federal government of St. Kitts was not working with the Nevis Island administration because the bank wanted the federal government hand in that.
Yes, they needed a letter. The letter has been supplied, but we have to clarify that the money is not coming from the federal government. So please do not mislead anyone. The money is coming from the Caribbean Development Bank.
We know that, sir.
Right.
We know
but that is not what you said a while ago, Carl.
Last year, the Honorable Conway Maynard and the Honorable Prime Minister clarified that $17 million would be coming from the federal government to go towards the geothermal project.
I am not aware of that, Minister Brand. Are you aware of that?
Caller. The Caribbean Development Bank would have given the geothermal project. Hold on. I want you to put this thing in context. First of all, the island of Nevis by itself cannot necessarily approach the Caribbean Development Bank.
We know all that,
but listen to me. The federal government would have had to, quote unquote, send a letter of support, endorsement, whatever you want to call it,
from the Nevis Island administration along with the federal government for the Caribbean Development Bank to approve that loan. But last year, the Honorable Conway Maynard and the Honorable Prime Minister endorsed that there will be $17 million coming from the federal government.
Carl, you need to stop
go.
this.
Caller.
You are misleading the people.
Caller.
I am not deceiving the people. The facts are there.
Caller. The $17 million
$17
is a
million from the-
contingent recovery grant / loan from the Caribbean Development Bank.
Caller, you still there?
Caller have left.
I'm still here. I'm
So
still
are,
here.
so are you
I'm
trying to
still here.
tell the public that we will be getting 17 million from the Caribbean Development Bank and 17 million from the federal government? That is what you're trying to tell the public?
I am telling the public that last year, and the record is there, that the Honorable Congress Maynard said that $17 million would be coming from the federal government, and the Prime Minister sometime later acknowledged that, and then the Honorable Mark Brantley and the federal government agreed that it's been long overdue, that they wanted to get the knots from the Nevis Island administration along with the federal government to get a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank, and that's the only way that the development of the project could have go forward. My question is asking, now that the Caribbean Development Bank agreed that the two islands have merged to make sure that this loan is coming through, the Nevis Island administration is going to get the $17 million from the federal government.
Carl, I still do not know what $17 million from the federal government you're talking about. Okay? I haven't one clue what $17 million from the federal government you're talking about. I don't have any clue. Minister Brand has no clue. Premier Brantley has no clue. I don't think the Prime Minister and Minister Congress may not have any clue what you're talking about either.
Yes, they have a clue. It is there on record. It is there on record said by both of them.
All right, sir. All right. Well, you'll have to hold on to your point. We will hold on to ours. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
The other point is, could you guys give us an update on how far we have reached with the geothermal project? And the other question is, what's the update on the progress of the hospital project?
Caller,
Could you guys give us an update?
Caller, we only have a minute and a half to go. We won't be able to provide those updates now. We apologize. We are almost out of time, and we do not have the time to provide those updates right about now. We have to be wrapping up right now, but we want to thank you for your call, and we want to thank you for your contribution. Minister Brand, we are almost out of time, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to give your closing remarks.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. I can't believe that we have been here for 2 hours already. I think
time flies when you have a lot of information to
we're just
impart.
getting warmed up, but I want to thank you once again for the invitation to join you tonight. I think we have had a very good discussion. I want to thank the callers, the listeners, and I want to take this opportunity once again to appeal to our people to as far as possible to try and conserve as much water as they possibly can. Do not waste the water, and we are hoping that in the next day or so, that in terms of the water pressure, because I think we are still having some issues with some water pressure in some of the areas, that all of that will be leveled out. I want to thank the people of Nevis for their patience and for their understanding, and I want to apologize once again for the inconvenience, because I know the loss of water was a major inconvenience for many persons.
Thank you so much, Minister Spencer Brand, for being here. We had so much to discuss. I think you did a marvelous job. Congratulations once again to your team for human service to get water back in the taps for everyone. Congratulations on all the excellent work and extraordinary work you're doing in your ministry. Let us continue to keep the momentum, to keep pushing Nevis forward. And we want to thank all of you for listening, and I want to take this opportunity on behalf of Minister Brand, on behalf of the NIA, on behalf of all of us, to wish you a very happy and blessed and holy Easter. May God bless you. And of course, remember, there's a rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thank you. God bless and good night.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers. With all the power from